Hi, I'm Autumn. I'm telling my story here so no one who's gone through trauma feels alone. Today I want to talk about childhood trauma and how it affects your brain as it's developing and changes those pathways and rewires you to become a different person, and how that is so ingrained into your brain, and those pathways have become so hardwired because it happens so young. And they, unfortunately, statistics show that a lot of children are re-victimized throughout their childhood and into their adulthood. They become a beacon for predators. The child is used to being in those situations, therefore doesn't maybe necessarily know what to do to get out of those situations, um, doesn't notice them as being as dangerous as they are. Predators find this very attractive if children have been victimized before, because they know they're malleable, they know they are able to um, mold them into what they want out of them, whatever that may be. Trauma survivors often learn to tolerate chaos and minimize red flags. So studies show that children who are abused are 2 to 3 times more likely to be victimized again later in life. For girls and women, childhood abuse can raise the risk of future SA or physical victimization by 3 to 5 times. Even in childhood, some research shows over 10% experience more than one incident. That's shocking. And it's why I have to tell my story. I need to tell everybody. I want to scream it from the rooftops at this point in my life, because what I went through is so very common. I went through multiple essays and physical trauma and physical abuse and mental abuse. And even into my adolescence and young adulthood, I was picking and choosing men that were abusing me and abusing everything around me, because I was not strong enough to see that I was worth more. So what happens is these abusers, these predators, they they mold you into this uh, vessel for them, and they feed you exactly what they want you to hear. They feed you stuff that's just really makes you feel good, makes you feel seen, or then they tell you, oh, well, you're not worth enough, or it makes you feel like you're not worth enough. Trauma survivors often learn to tolerate chaos and minimize red flags. Studies show that children who are abused are 2 to 3 times more likely to be victimized again later in life. For girls and women, childhood abuse can raise the risk of future sexual and physical victimization by 3 to 5 times. So even in childhood, some research shows that over 10% experience more than one incident. That's significant. And I would venture to say that I think that those numbers are probably very much underreported. And so we really don't know. These are what we do know and what is reported. But my point of everything that I'm doing is nothing that happened to me was reported. Even, well, some of it was reported, but it was the general, nothing happened. Nothing was done. There was no system. There was no protection. People work tirelessly in our existing systems to try and make a difference, but it's so broken that they kill themselves trying to make a difference, and nothing changes. Generation after generation, we're traumatizing our children and creating people who are like me, that have to go through life with PTSD, with severe depression, bipolar depression, with anxiety, panic attacks. That's not okay. Why aren't we talking about it more? I know I'm not alone, because I've been around a bit now. And I've been looking, and I know that I'm not alone. It's time to scream from the rooftops that we're not going to allow our children to be victimized anymore. We're not going to allow our children to be broken before they even have a chance.